Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be, you won't believe it until it happens to you. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So I'm referring to that toxic relationship you were a part of. You know exactly the one you're considering. You know what spun your world upside down. You know exactly what that person did, or you're learning. You now know that they don't care about anybody other than themselves. You know that they're self-serving. You know that they manipulate, that they trick people, they trap people, they guilt people, they blame people. And they will do it over and over and over again to anybody who is an audience to who they are performing for. Back when you were in that relationship with the person you're considering, you didn't know what you know now. You weren't taught this in school. So how could you know that toxicity could have two legs and walk around on this planet similar to the way you do? How could you know that somebody could talk out of both sides of their mouths, meaning they could say one thing one day and something completely different the next day? How could you realize that somebody could claim that they loved you even though now you know that they don't even have the ability to love or to fall in love? You didn't know back then that you were the beautiful, bright, shining light, that you would be tested to your core, not with all the curriculum that you were tested with, the educational levels, which is high school and college and university, etc. I'm talking, this is the test of your life. That's why you are healing, or you've healed. And that's why this will take time. It will take a lot of time. But in your time, you will heal if you utilize the tools that are provided for you with each and every video I create. And this is why you are getting yourself burned out with all the friends or people you were communicating with, mainly post-narcissistic relationship in the early days. When you don't have the wisdom, you're learning about what toxicity is, and you were telling other people things that they could not wrap their head around. Those people weren't built the same way you were built, or you are built. Now, I'm not saying those people are toxic. They're probably good people. Maybe some of them are toxic. I don't know. What I do know is that they didn't go through the cycle. They don't know what it's like to open the front door and hold your breath and try to figure out if it's going to be Dr. Jekyll or Mr. or Mrs. Hyde who answers the door. Or I should say not even answer the door, be sitting on the couch doing whatever they're doing but ignoring you. They don't know what it's like to experience the silent treatment for weekends on end. They don't know what it's like to have large sums of money in your bank account, which to you maybe a large sum was $100, maybe it's $1,000, maybe it's 10 grand or more, but have that all disappear like that because the person you're considering financially abused you. They don't know, and my hope is they never do know what it's like to be being abused, being manipulated, feeling isolated, being trapped, and experiencing, how's this one for you? Yes, the smear campaign. Now, when you were a kid, the smear campaign was nothing more than a bully on the playground or in the school telling a fib or a lie about you to get other people to go up against you because the bully or coward, they were too weak, although perhaps they had the loudest voice and they were the bully, but they were too weak internally to do this on their own. So they needed to turn everybody against you. Well, that's what the smear campaign is as an adult. You now know all these terms, or the glossary and the definitions in the narcissistic abusive cycle, such as triangulation, the smear campaign, projection, mirroring, object, constancy, what a rage fit is, financial abuse, and more. You also now know that you need to cut the 4 ties: the emotional tie, the financial tie, the physical tie, and yes, the spiritual tie. And once you cut these ties, and it will be challenging to do so, but once you do it, because I did it, and if I did it, you can do it, you will realize that you will begin to elevate and ascend higher and higher. The further you get away from that toxic person, the stronger you get. The stronger you get, the weaker they get. The weaker they get, the more people will not be able to understand what you went through until they went through it themselves or go through it themselves. Now again, I don't wish that this toxic behavior would exist on the planet. Not the human beings, but the behavior itself, or the defect, or the flaw, or the broken chip, or the program, whatever you want to call it, but it exists. Just like I exist and you exist, that program exists. Having said that, my hope is that each and every day that we, the collective, the people that were abused, that were manipulated, that were taken into that deep end of destruction, the cesspool of manipulation and the minefield of misery, and trapped in that narcissistic relationship, we are getting stronger and we are getting our cup full. The stronger we get, the more the collective gets. The more the collective gets strong, the less impact the toxic person or people have on our lives. And you may question what I just said there. Well, what are you talking about? The toxicity is everywhere. That's true. But remember who you were before you met the apex predator, the toxic person. You didn't have the wisdom. You didn't know what to do. You didn't know how to defend yourself. You didn't know that poor behavior shouldn't be tolerated. You didn't know that gaslighting existed. You didn't know that somebody could lie, steal, and cheat throughout a relationship for a day, a week, a month, a year, a decade, a whole marriage of 50 years plus. But that's what that person did, and they knew it. It was always advantage toxic person until it wasn't. And when it wasn't, that's when you got your first light bulb moment. That's when you finally cracked the code. You found the needle in a haystack and you recognized what you were up against, which was not a loving, caring, honest, authentic individual. It was a toxic predator who had planned out, mapped out, and had destroyed so many lives before you, but they were trying to do it with you. Once this toxic person got whatever they wanted from you, again, time, money, energy, love, empathy, whatever it was, they usually will take that person for granted, or once that person's tethered to them for any length of time, they will take that person for granted, and they will go out looking for other people to manipulate and to trap and trick. While they're doing that simultaneously, I can assure you the person, the target, which was me and probably was you, you're doing everything you can to put out the fires that that toxic person was igniting intentionally, because that person you're considering the toxic person, they knew that relationship had an expiration date, and they watched you flail. They watched you begin to drown in the cesspool of manipulation and into that deep end of misery. They watched all of your health take a hit, your resources go to zero, your friends and your colleagues and your relationships implode. They watched everything go up in the house of cards because they were setting a stage for your demise. Now that's why this video is called what it is, which is you won't believe it until it happens to you. Because if somebody had told you ahead of time before you met this person that you are considering what would happen to you, there's no way you would have thought that you would have actually gone through it, made it through, and been here right now. You wouldn't have. None of us would have. But that is a testament to how strong you are, how courageous you are, how resilient you are, and how full of fortitude, love, and abundance and direction, positive direction that is, you are. You see, this person had an advantage over you the whole time, as I shared earlier in the video. They were wearing a mask, they were manipulating you, they were doing so many things you never thought you would see, you experienced so many things you never thought you would experience, you tolerated so many poor behaviors that you had never even seen before, but you tolerated them. And you were ignoring your instincts, you were not trusting your intuition, you were not paying attention to red flags. And the more you did that, more of your strength went down the drain. The more your strength went down the drain, the more clarity disappeared, the more foggy your mind got, the more control that person had over you. The more control they had over you, the less voice you had. The less voice you had, the less they respected you. The less they respected you, the more they punished you. The more they punished you, the more you lost your identity. The more you lost your identity, the more you became a shell of yourself. The more you became a shell of yourself, the less time you looked in the future as to be having good days at all. And eventually you lost hope. I can say that because for a moment in time, I did too. I was thinking to myself, what is happening here? How does this not improve? Well, it doesn't improve because you're in Groundhog Day. It just goes around and around and around in a loop. And you know the cycle by now. I'm not going to illustrate that. But when you don't know a way out of a place you are trapped and kidnapped and placed into, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and spiritually, you don't know where you are, so you don't know how to get out of it. And that's when you begin to really, really figure out to yourself, something's wrong here. The one common denominator is the person that you're considering, but you don't know what it is because you weren't taught this in school. So then eventually something gives, something breaks, something snaps. And that's when you figure out who they are. And that's when you probably typed in the browser, spouse won't talk to me, or something. And then one of my videos popped up. And then you said, wait a minute, this guy, Andrew, he looks like he knows what he's talking about. He's saying all these things, I don't even understand what the words are. And then you start checking the boxes, you watch more and more videos. And then you learn more and more of the definitions. Then you say, yes, 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 yes. Then you realize, although you're not a doctor by trade, you realize that you've been through the cycle. Yes, you have experience that most people don't have, but now you're acquiring wisdom. And so many people that you try to tell or explain to them when you were out of the relationship, maybe even when you were in it, but probably when you're out, they couldn't wrap their head around it because the person that you're considering that they know, they were wearing a different mask for that person. Or they just downplayed it and said, it couldn't have been that bad. What's the big deal? So what? You broke up. Move on. Let's just get over it. Just get out there. Well, it's not that easy because in a healthy, stable relationship with a non-toxic person, usually when it comes to an end, the two people sit down, have a cup of coffee, and talk intelligently and listen to each other, express their emotions, their feelings, and what they're doing and why it's ending, and they hug it out or whatever they do and say goodbye and thank you. It was a great, we spent this time together. I'm honored. It was a pleasure, but it's time to move on, or something like that. But that's not what happens with these people. With the apex predator, they want to twist the knife in as deep as they possibly can to anybody who gets too close to them. That's why these people don't give closure. That's why the experiences are surreal. That's why many times you're questioning yourself, am I sane? Did I lose it? What, am I the problem? Am I the toxic person? Well, then you realize, no, it was all their negativity they dumped into you, and they took all of your essence, all of your money, time, empathy, and everything else, and they wanted you holding the bag. And then they slithered off onto a new source of supply. And as they did that, you were reeling because you weren't taught this in school. I said it 3 times in the video. You should play this video and play it a few times, because you won't believe it until you're in it. When you're in it, it's too late. That's why you need to apply the tools that I provide for you. That's why you need to apply the wisdom. That's why you need to implement boundaries. That's why you have to go no contact. That's why you have to get off the radar of the toxic person. That's why you have to batten down the hatches and close all the gates and the avenues of communication that were and or possibly still are open to that toxic person and or any flying monkey. You can't be trusting anyone who is 1, 2, 3 steps away from the narcissist, because any of those people could be a flying monkey, they could be just as toxic, they could be worse, or they could be somebody who's being targeted next. What I can tell you this before I close the video, because it's going to be a little bit shorter, is that so many people think that they were in the toxic web of manipulation and lies, the trauma bond, and so on and so on. Whether they were or not, I can't say. I can say where I was, and where I was, I would not want to go back for 1 microsecond. If you gave me all the money in the world, there's no way I would go back to that state of mind. Never going to happen. That's why I healed, and that's how I healed, because I never want to go back to a place like that again, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, every way possible. And that's why I'm here. That's why I put myself back together, day by day, sometimes second by second. But having said that, people that haven't been really in the cycle, they don't know what they're talking about, and that's okay. My hope is they never get in the cycle. My hope is nobody would be in the cycle, myself included, but that's not reality. Reality is I was trapped in a place I didn't even know existed. Those TV shows called The Twilight Zone used to be some of my favorite shows, and they kind of still are to a degree. They pale in comparison to my life. They pale in comparison to all the time stuck in the dungeon of horrors, in the minefield of manipulation, in the cesspool of misery, yes, in the trauma bond. And I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. I don't wish ill will upon anybody. I'm not going to start now. The toxic person, they do what they do. They're going to always do what they do until they don't any longer. The empath, the kind, loving, beautiful person, as is who I am, and you are too, what I call the beautiful, bright, shining light. We are shining higher, elevating higher, and our collective consciousness is getting stronger. Yes, it is. We are still massively outnumbered. Truth be told, we will probably always be outnumbered until we're not. But for the foreseeable future, we're outnumbered. That's not a bad thing. That's reality. You have to understand that, yeah, there's more toxicity than there are true empaths out there, by far, by a long shot. But as we get stronger, specifically the people that were in the cycle and got out and healed properly, we have the ability to pay it forward and to spread the word of abundance, to spread the word of enlightenment, to spread the word of education and empowerment to the younger generations, or even maybe our own generation. We need to pay it forward. We need to become the generational curse breaker. We need to stand tall. We need to shine bright. We need to not let the shadows of darkness or the ghosts of the past that haunt the narcissists in their tiny little pea brain get to us any longer. And how we do that is by maintaining our boundaries. How we do that is by having a 1 strike rule, not 3 strikes in baseball, 1 strike. How we do that is by not oversharing. How we do that is understanding, and this is going to be a tough pill to swallow, but it's real, and I've never said in a video. It's that if you could talk till you're blue in the face to anybody about what you went through, anybody you want to at all, if they didn't go through the cycle, it's going to go right over their head. They're not going to understand what you're talking about. They may even think that you have problems, and you don't. But what they will not ever get is how you felt, how helpless and hopeless you were, how you didn't see a way out, and how your mind kept spinning, ruminating, if you will, and how you were trapped in that mental prison, if you will, which is the narcissistic fog. Nobody will ever understand that. They can read the books, they can watch the videos, they can claim that they were in it. It's fine, I get it. But if you were in it, you know it. And that's why I can finish your sentence in a second. And if you've been through it, you could probably finish my sentence. My hope is you don't have the ability to finish my sentence, not because you didn't heal, but because you didn't go through the cycle. If you have been through the cycle and you're healing, eventually you will be able to finish my sentence. This is a superpower. It's a superpower on steroids once you heal and you apply the tools and you recognize with this superpower comes great responsibility, which means this. And then I'm going to close the video. Sometimes the best thing to do in life is to not try to explain things to some people because they're not going to understand it. Sometimes the best thing in life to do is just walk away. I'm not talking about from the narcissist exclusively, although that's what you should do. I'm talking about from your average everyday people who are never ever going to understand what you went through. It's not until those people go through it themselves, and again, it's my hope they never do go through it, and it will be too late for them, as it was for myself and for you, that they're going to understand things. They may not even understand what I understand or you. They probably won't, truth be told. And maybe they're one of the people that get stuck in the fog and they never crack the code and find the needle in a haystack. That's most people. That's why I have the unique ability to pay it forward and to help people heal. My hope is eventually you will do that if you're not doing it right now. But until you can help other people out, you need to help yourself. Remember the oxygen mask example. In an airplane at 30,000 feet, when the oxygen mask drops down, you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Once you can breathe properly, you can help your neighbor, no matter who that neighbor is. You have to help yourself first, because you're useless if you're trying to help out somebody else and they're fighting you or they can't do it. You have to help yourself first, then you help them. And that's what I do each and every day. See, I helped myself. No one lifted a finger to help me out. I did it all by myself. 2 years, 2 days. And truth be told, 5 years this day, which is Halloween, I was in a very, and I mean very dark space. That was a Saturday night. I will never forget it. One of the worst nights of my entire life. But that night will pale in comparison to the dark night of the soul, to January 6, 2021, to the night of the discard, and to other nights. But I will always remember. I will never forget. And that's what you must do. You must take the lifelong learning lessons from the past, not predict the future, and live in the present moment. And understand that very few people will believe what you went through. And don't burn yourself out trying to explain it to them, because they flat out won't get it. So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, no matter where you are on the planet. You are not alone. I love you all, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm going to close this out quicker because it's getting a little noisy back there. I love you all. God bless you. I hope you have a great day. If you celebrate Halloween, happy Halloween. If you don't, it's fine. It's another day to you. Any way you cut it, if where you are is where you want to be, stay there. If where you are is not where you want to be, there's work to be done. I at one time was where you are or where you were, however you cut it. The whole key to me creating videos and the whole key to me paying it forward is to give you the strength and the courage and the belief in yourself the way I believe in you. Do not give up hope. Do not quit. Do not stop. Do not ever, ever, and I mean ever, do anything other than believe in yourself and continue to shine higher than the sun, the moon, and the stars. I love you all, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Bye. And again, happy Halloween if you believe in Halloween, or if you like it. If you don't, it's all good. It's just a day. Enjoy yourselves. I love you. Bye.